Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of our 2021 and our 2003 series here, where we simulate the whole NASCAR season. Today, we go to, for the first time this year, a track that we've already been to, and that is Atlanta Motor Speedway. Very excited for this race. Last time out, we had a couple big crashes that led to quite a crazy outcome here, and you never know what to expect at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I am joined by JayCook here as usual in the booth. Jay, I mean, this is your home track. You've been here in real life multiple times. Of course, I remember, I think your first race you saw Jeff Gordon win back here in 2011 or something like that. So a lot of memories here for you. And I mean, what are you expecting here? Are you looking forward to this race here today?
I am looking forward to it. Mile and a half races are always very fun on NR. And I'm also looking forward to it because I think we have a great points battle going on from now probably until the playoffs start. The points are a whole lot closer between a lot of drivers now, so I'm also looking forward to getting to cover that as well and getting to watch how these guys navigate it. As Kyle Busch got the pole, so he's already put
Start
himself in a
your
great position.
engines.
We're going to be going over the playoff grid here today a lot in Atlanta Motor Speedway. So it says 179 laps on the top of your screen. We are doing 170. This gives us an opportunity to do overtime if necessary. So the race is official when they hit lap 171 unless there is a crash that forces overtime here in Atlanta. Stage 1 comes to a close when we hit lap 41. Stage 2 comes to a close when we hit lap 81. And then they race it from there to lap 171. Jay, as well, some news coming out this week with the Atlanta repave going. This is the final race we have here on this configuration before they repave it, make it a little bit more narrow in the corners, and of course adds 4 degrees banking from 24 to 28 degrees. Real quick, we'll talk about it later in this race, but just real quick, are you looking forward to that change here from Atlanta?
I'm at least looking forward to the repave. The track badly needed it, so that part I'm at least looking forward to. I like the banking changes, at least from the sounds of it. I like the banking changes, but I genuinely still can't offer an opinion until I actually see something. But I am excited for it to finally be getting repaved. It's needed it for several years now.
We will be, like I said, going over those changes a little bit more later in this race once we get into a bit of a nice green flag run and everything gets more spread out here. But if you guys remember last time we came here, spread out isn't much of a thing when it comes to this track in NR2003. We saw a lot of pack racing, which can lead to a lot of big incidents now as Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick lead the field to the green flag. A statement right off the bat from Kyle Busch, who comes into this race still below the playoff cutoff line after a rough finish in Road America, where he was very close to that playoffs going into Road America, but a rough day there puts him now at 31 points below the cut line. You got to keep an eye on guys like Matt DiBenedetto today, who was 6 points out. Tyler Reddick was just barely on the inside. Truex still out by 46 points. And then you got Alex Bowman, who's out by 76 points. And I mean, Jay, 76 points at this point in the season now. We got, 6 races left in the regular season. He has to make up an average of over 10 points per race, which is still possible, but very unlikely at this point.
Yeah, 76 is still doable. It certainly is, especially if Tyler Reddick keeps having issues or Chris Buescher even. It's still doable, I think, but I think that he still has to be looking for wins at this point, because 10 points a race is a pretty quite large margin to make up.
And there you see some side-by-side between Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. And this is going to be a common thing, especially on fresh tires all day long. These guys are going to be going 3 and sometimes potentially even 4 wide, and that's when it'll get very dangerous here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. But I mean, Jay, surprisingly, we're seeing right up front Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, both of these guys on the outside looking in. Kyle, of course, I think he's surprised us lately. I think he's had speed all year long. He's just had terrible luck, and sometimes he's done it to himself. And now it seems like they finally got it into gear, and once again, here he is consistently over the last month running up front.
Yeah, he just has not been able to find that win that he's been oh so close to for the last several weeks now. He's been in contention for the win in several races and just has not been able to get it done. So unfortunately, he's still outside of the playoffs at the moment. But I think he can honestly win here today. I think he can win at any of the tracks we have left in the regular season, especially with the way he's been performing lately. So I think that's a positive the team has to look at, is that even if they may not win, they're definitely making up points, but they can also definitely be in contention for a win anywhere at any track now, I think. So he certainly turned it up recently, and I think at the moment, I think he's our strongest driver. Larson hasn't been the same Kyle Larson we've expected over the last month.
Larson's had a bit of a fall off right now, running around the top 10 in that middle lane there. So we're going to be keeping a big eye today on Matt DiBenedetto, especially, and Tyler Reddick as well, because Matt DiBenedetto, like I mentioned briefly, he comes into this race 6 points below the cut line. Reddick is 6 points above the cut line. Well, Reddick is directly behind Matt DiBenedetto here today now, as we saw some interesting strategy calls from guys in Road America, Jay, where DiBenedetto had a chance to make up some crucial points, and some questionable pit calls put him in a rough spot. And I think Tyler Reddick was one of those guys that did that as well, and even Martin Truex Jr. So a lot of guys around that bubble made some questionable pit calls to get some crucial points in the stages, but of course we saw that at the end of the race it really didn't play out for them.
Yeah, it secured him some good stage points, but it overall hurt him in the race, and I think it wound up costing them more than they gained. So it was certainly a gamble. I don't know if they think it was worth it at this point. I don't think it was worth it, honestly. But, you know, they had to try something, and luckily, even though it didn't work out, he's not too far to the playoffs. 6 points is absolutely nothing. That can be gained super quick. So luckily for them, that their gamble did not cost them too heavily.
And there you see last week's winner of Ryan Blaney up in the mix. Could have been way different if I would have brought in the overtime feature into Road America. I told Jay before the race, I said the odds of us needing an overtime scenario here at Road America is unbelievably low. We ended up needing it, and unfortunately couldn't get it. So that's why we're, no matter what, from now on, going to add on extra laps to the actual race amount so we can have the potential for overtime. Keselowski with a commanding move to the lead here. Another guy, Jay, that was having a really rough start to the season, and like Kyle Busch, but more successful so far than Kyle Busch, he was able to just power his way into the playoffs and then pick up a very important win, locking himself in.
Yeah, he's kind of had the same thing as Kyle Busch. I wouldn't say he's been as competitive as Kyle Busch, because Kyle has been consistently one of the quickest cars race in and race out the past month or so. Just Keselowski was able to find his way into victory lane before Kyle Busch was, but nonetheless, he's locked himself into the playoffs now, and I think it was surprising how long he was outside of the playoffs. Honestly, he actually, for a majority of the season, was still running well, was still qualifying well, having decent races, and just wound up not having the finishes that kept him outside the playoffs. Kyle Busch was struggling all throughout the beginning of the year, qualifying badly. He's putting himself in positions where he hurt himself and got himself caught up in wrecks and everything. So they've kind of had two different types of seasons, but now they're both fighting for the playoffs, and Keselowski's got himself locked in.
Just about 4 wide there out of turns 2. Larson, Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, as well as the 99 of Daniel Suarez. All of these guys have won a race. They're all locked into the playoffs. Pretty much everybody up here has won a race, except you look at the 9 of Chase Elliott, still looking for that win. Kyle Busch as well. Another thing that we should probably be keeping an eye on is that number 17, I think, of Chris Buescher. Right now, Buescher, by the way, running down in P23. And I mean, Jay, we're looking at the playoff grid. A guy that was leading the regular season point standings, a month and a half, 2 months ago, is now only 61 points above the cut line. He had a rough race at Pocono, he had a rough race at Road America, and now we're seeing him only 61 points above, and there is a real threat that the former regular season points leader could end up missing the playoffs if he keeps up at this rate here over the next 5 or 6 races.
Yeah, I think we're no longer in a battle for just that last playoff spot. I think it's really going to come down to those final 2 playoff spots. Chris Buescher's been consistently losing points, falling down the order, and where he's sitting at now, I think you said 23rd. 24th
down to 24th,
now.
about to be 25th.
Sitting in 24th is not going to put you inside the playoffs, even when you're 61 points above. There's a lot of races to go still, and if he stays outside the top 20 consistently each race, he's going to 100% get beat by guys like Kyle Busch or Martin Truex or Matt DiBenedetto. So we're definitely going to, I think, see him wind up slipping out of the playoffs unless that team is able to somehow turn it around.
You see Martin Truex Jr. right there on the inside. Kyle Busch goes back to the lead, showing that they got some serious speed today in that Joe Gibbs Racing M&M's Toyota Camry. Christopher Bell having a decent run. Earlier this season, he had a great start to the season, was well inside the playoffs, and then it's just been downhill probably after 5 or 6 races or so, and he's never really come back with any legitimate speed. But Martin Truex Jr., another guy, we've been talking about guys making runs here over the last month, closing that gap to the playoffs, and Truex is another one doing that now, only 46 points below the cut line. And if he wouldn't have messed up with their pit call last week in Road America, Jay, we could probably see Truex now maybe less than 30 points below. So they gave up some crucial points right there, but nonetheless, I mean, right now doing exactly what he needs to be doing, beating all the guys that are inside the playoffs that are possible for him to beat on points still.
Funny thing about Truex is he's been gaining these points while also still struggling himself. He wrecked out of both Pocono races. I'm pretty sure he had that struggle last weekend. And so he's still been gaining points while struggling himself. So he's in a decent position now to where if he can click some races off and get some top 10s, he can really fight for that final playoff spot. He's just got to stop finding his way into crashes or into bad strategy.
We should mention the field run is about now halfway complete, so these guys can go about 30 to 31, maybe 32 laps here. In Atlanta, we are running on 2X tire and fuel wear here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, so they will have to pit about 10 laps before Stage 1 and Stage 2 come to a close, and then we have, 90 laps, I believe, for that third and final stage, which could potentially create some fuel mileage depending on these stage breaks, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Kyle Busch, Keselowski looking very strong here in these opening laps. Now, what we're going to do from Atlanta Motor Speedway, 17 laps in, we are going to go for a quick break and bring you to the start of the first set of pit stops here from Atlanta. Back from Atlanta Motor Speedway, you haven't missed much. It's still Keselowski and Kyle Busch up front. Martin Truex Jr., he's kind of fallen off the pack a little bit, and so is Chase Elliott. Tyler Reddick on the move here late in this field run, and Matt Benedetto falling quite a ways behind as well here, as we will be closing in here in just a few minutes' time on some green flag pit stops. Probably about lap 30-31 they should be coming into the pit lane. Jay, just a few days ago, Atlanta Motor Speedway announced that they are repaving this track. The corners are going to be more narrow, 24 degrees as well to 28 degrees banking. And I guess what they said was they are looking for pack racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And they've been NASCAR has been using iRacing to simulate this new configuration of the track as accurate as possible. So in your opinion, if we do indeed get this quote-unquote pack racing that Atlanta Motor Speedway is looking for next year... Oh, hold up! We have a crash and talk about pack racing. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and Kyle Larson, as well as I saw someone else there in the background. Oh my goodness. Eric Almirola is the other one. We'll talk about Atlanta after. Wow. Out of nowhere, as we're getting ready for green flag pit stops, the caution is going to come out here in Atlanta, and thank goodness, only about 4 cars or so got collected. Daniel Suarez, unfortunate for him, he's already got a win. Just about has a moment with Matt Benedetto as they come through to cross the line. I don't even know what caused that one, but wow, Kyle Larson's stretch of just almost a downhill spiral continues here in Atlanta.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for him. He's in a position, I believe, where he just literally had nowhere to go. So his bad stretch of races, his rough stretch of races will continue here. Excuse me. I feel like he will be DNFing, and he will be the first car out here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it looks like day over. It has to be. I mean, they might be able to take the bumpers off that car and get it back going. We're going to get a replay of what happened here in a few moments, but first we're going to get ready for the pit cycle now. We got some issues under the... we got some stack ups. I forgot this happened before. I see about 2 or 3 cars. Benedetto has a little bit of back bumper damage. That's really nothing. But the 42 has some damage. And the 47's got quite a bit of damage. And so does the 14 and the 41. Everybody else looks okay. So about 4 cars or so under caution get into each other. So that's unfortunate. Thank goodness it wasn't any cars that were right up there in the mix, but a lot of damage on that number 99 Trackhouse car for Daniel Suarez. Kevin Harvick, of course. Last time we came to this track, Kevin Harvick was a part of a really large accident. So Atlanta, Jay, a track that we expect Harvick to be the guy at. Certainly this year, Atlanta has not treated him well whatsoever.
Yeah, not at all. Mile and a half have not treated him well at all this year. He's wrecked on the majority of those races. So... yeah, I think he's going to be able to certainly continue, but there's no way he'll be competitive. That car has got way too much damage for him to stay competitive in this race. But yeah, Atlanta has not been nice to him this year at a track where he's normally very good.
There you see the race off the pit lane. Ryan Blaney won it. Harvick Definitely could be day over for him. There you see Logano getting some service. Alex Bowman as well. DeBenedetto is out of the pit lane. Bowman is just coming out now. You see the front bumper off of Quinn Half as well as Daniel Suarez. And I believe we had actually, yes, we had 3 drivers elect to stay out there, which is a very baffling call. They might come in this time by, and that's Kozlowski, Bubba Wallace, as well as the number 34 of Michael McDowell. This does not make sense whatsoever if they don't pit here, because they're going to have to come in within 2 laps. And yes, here they come. So a weird strategy there for those 3 drivers. So Ryan Blaney will cycle out through to the lead. So now let's get a quick look, though, at that crash that just occurred here late in the field run at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here's a look at what happened now going down towards turns. We're going to see Daniel Suarez right here get into the right rear of Logano and just hook him up into the wall and take Harvick, Larson, and Almirola with them as well. Very unfortunate all around there as we're going to get another angle of that incident. Here's another look at it. I mean, Jay, I guess there really wasn't much Logano could do here, and of course no one else that was involved in that accident.
Yeah, just nothing really Logano could do. He gets hooked by Suarez, and then they just wind up going up the track into those guys that are sitting there. So luckily, Joey's able to come away with minimal damage there, but everybody else got pretty heavy damage. And we're going to see a couple of DNFs out of it.
Overall, very surprised Logano actually did not have much damage at all on that car after getting hooked head-on into the wall. We are going green this time by. We have a few retirements to go over. Most of these were actually from the stack-ups under caution. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chase Briscoe, Cole Custer, Timmy Hill. Those 4 guys simply DNF'd because of that stack up under the yellow flag conditions. Kyle Larson, though, does DNF from that incident. So his rough stretch here after a dominating start, first 3 quarters of the regular season, it seems to be coming to an end now as we're getting ready to go back green. So Ryan Blaney in P1 with Denny Hamlin up there joining him in 2nd place. But Jay, I mean, it just goes to show out of nowhere, Atlanta can get very, very crazy very quick.
Yeah, it kind of happened the same last time as well. So hopefully we don't really see that happen again, because we don't want to see some contenders get taken out. But there's also the issue of we could potentially see an Almirola type situation again as well. I forgot about last time we were here. They were going to make green flag stops, and Eric Almirola went to slow down going into turn 3, and then he pulled back up the track and in front of some cars, and it caused a crash. So hopefully we won't have that issue this time around. But if we do have green flag pit stops, that's going to be something to look out for.
Less than 10 laps to go, or actually there is 10 laps to go or so here left in stage 1. Blaney, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, William Byron all up here in the top 5. Tyler Reddick, I mean, you got to be concerned, Jay, if you're, anyone right now. Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, or Matt DiBenedetto, the guy that you're trying to beat, is starting to creep his way up towards the front. And I think this is a guy that we have to keep our eyes on at a multi-groove racetrack, of course, and a track where you really got to drive that car. You got to look at Tyler Reddick as a potential threat.
And he was also very strong there on the long run. Right towards the end of that run, he started making his way forward. He got past DiBenedetto, who he had been behind the whole race so far. He got around a couple other guys and was starting to kind of catch that pack a little bit. So I think he's got a pretty good long run car. And if he's already starting up here and almost inside the top 5 on a short run, if he's able to hang around here and we get to a green flag run, maybe he winds up putting himself in the lead.
Alex Bowman trying to work his way forwards. He spent some extra time on the pit lane, and as did the 22 of Joey Logano, has to work his way back forward. Same for Kozlowski, as well as Bubba Wallace. Kevin Harvick, a lot of damage on that car. He's going to be off the pace, and so is Suarez in that 00. And look how far off right now the 10 of Eric Almirola is. For comparison, he's going at 158 miles per hour down the front straightaway. William Byron is going 182 miles per hour into turns 1. So that's going to be an obstacle right there that these guys have to deal with. Shouldn't have to deal with it here in stage 1 at least, as there's only a handful of laps remaining. William Byron up front, the Circuit of the Americas winner. Only time he's won this season so far now is Blaney, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin all up in the mix. Jay, we don't want to jinx Joe Gibbs Racing because we've had a history of doing this, but the first time in quite some time, all of their cars currently are running up inside the top 12, and that is not a common thing.
Chase Elliot almost takes them 4 wide, and that probably would have resulted in a wreck. So you got very close to jinxing them there for a moment, Gary. But yeah, this is the first time we've seen their cars all be competitive. Christopher Bell not too far behind them. So, and that's what they need. They need to have Truex and Kyle Busch both have good races to get themselves into the playoffs, and maybe even Christopher Bell as well. You know, I don't think he has a chance of pointing his way in, but if he's able to sneak a win in, then maybe Joe Gibbs could wind up with all 4 of their guys in the playoffs at the very end. But it's going to be extremely rough with Chase Elliott already 100-something points above, and then Chris Busch is still at the moment 61 points above. So I think we're going to wind up seeing it be between Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and DiBenedetto for those final 2 playoff spots.
Absolutely crucial here for Truex and Kyle, and even DiBenedetto just about to beat Tyler Reddick right here in this first stage. Of course, DiBenedetto is a few spots behind, and out of nowhere, a guy that avoids trouble who was running down at about 25th place earlier. Chris Buescher is now up to 9th here as it goes down into turns 1 with 3 laps to go in stage 1. So he always finds a way to just get out of trouble. And then, I mean, obviously he only had to miss about 4 cars, but I mean, overall just has found some speed there as they go down this backstretch into turns 3. Tyler Reddick, he's moved up to the top now as they approach this final 2-lap dash for this first stage victory. William Byron looking very strong. Chase Elliott up here in the mix. Jay, I think we're still surprised. Elliott's been in position to win a few races, a few road courses. He's had some opportunities, but has come up short every time. So usually he's just gotten spun out by someone like Joey Logano at Circuit of the Americas and whatnot, or he's been held up by lap traffic at Martinsville. So there's always something this season that's kind of keeping Elliott from winning here. And today maybe could be the day. He's looking strong. He might have a chance.
Yeah, he certainly looked good so far, but there's been a couple races this year where he's looked good in the beginning and has not found himself towards the lead towards the end of the race. So I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens. There's also potential for wrecks and all this kind of stuff, and there's also potential for Almirola to cause some kind of issue here. These guys
they will.
Catching him extremely quickly.
This is the final lap of stage 1. Here they come up on Eric Almirola. We're going to get the caution command in right now as they approach him out of turns 2. Truex looking for the stage win. Well, that might be completely taken away. Yes, it will. As William Byron goes through, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch as well. He just gave up about 3-4 positions and points, as now Chase Elliott will be side by side with William Byron out of turns 4, for the stage win. To the line. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Chase Elliott getting Byron, and even Kurt Busch got Elliott at the line right there as the caution comes out. Martin Truex Jr. gets 5th, and you know what happened right there with the lap traffic holding up that outside line? Matt DiBenedetto was actually able to get past Tyler Reddick by 1 spot. So now Matt DiBenedetto is 5 points out, but watch out. We still have to make sure they do not have a huge stack up here and cause some issues. So, so far, so good now, as everybody up front at least is going to get through. But what's going on back here? Is anybody running into each other? Actually clean this time around, thank goodness, as they will be coming into the pit lane here. But Jay, that 10 car is unbelievably off the pace. Of course, you and I, we haven't figured out a way to maybe take him off the track when we need to, unfortunately. So that's going to be an obstacle all day long unless Almirola gets himself taken out in another incident.
Yeah, we're going to have to really hope that he winds up finding a way to crash out or his engine blows or something. Because otherwise, that is certainly going to be an issue all day long. Last time we were here in Atlanta, we had lap cars cause issues. So unfortunately, slow cars have been the issue so far at both Atlanta races this season. But long way to go in this race. A lot of potential for something to happen to him, and hopefully it does, because we need to have that car DNF'd.
So Chase Elliott leads the field down the pit lane into his pit box. There he picks up a playoff point. I mean, he's picking up stage wins, some playoff points, but of course a race win would be so much better for that team now. As Alex Bowman, by the way, did not get any stage points there. He got P11, 1 spot short. He was working his way, charging his way through the field actually there at the end of stage 1. Kyle Busch likely going to be up in the mix for the race off the pit line. Actually, I don't think so. Elliott's going to beat him, and then it's going to be Byron, then Kyle Busch. Kurt Busch has got some left side damage on that car, by the way. They did not seem to take the time to fix it. DiBenedetto loses some ground on the pit line there. He's actually now behind the 8 of Tyler Reddick, but it will be Chase Elliott leading the field to the green for the start of stage 2. We're going to go for a quick break again and bring you guys to the start of the second stage here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Back from Atlanta Motor Speedway, getting ready to go green here for the start of stage 2. Eric Almirola is going to be up here with Chase Elliott. He is 1 lap down. You see the damage on that car. You saw how he affected the end of stage 1. So, Jay, I mean, this is exactly what you do not want to see. I mean, of course, the first 5-6 cars, they're probably going to be okay, but if you come into back around here, maybe Bell, DiBenedetto, Buescher area, you're going to be in danger going into turns 1 being stuck behind him.
Yeah, you really don't want to get stuck behind him here right off the restart. That's really going to put you off from the leader right at the beginning of this stage. So hopefully, a lot of these cars are able to easily get around him. But I think that we are going to have quite a few held up And unfortunately, that's going to put some people back from the leader for this stage if it really gets going.
He's right on the inside, which does help a little bit. As you see, everybody so far has gotten by him except the first one is going to be Matt DiBenedetto. So I guess I got a call right for once there. Not the guy that needs to be getting stuck behind Eric Almirola, and he is just going to stay directly in front of that 21. There goes DiBenedetto right there to the inside. He's going to blow by him very, very quick. But now you got to make sure that this 10 car doesn't cause any wrecks now at this point. Is there 3 wide behind them here? Bowman, Logano, as well as Bubba Wallace. But it looks like they're probably going to keep it in good shape. But yeah, that 10 car unbelievably far off the pace. Jay, I mean, this is also the second Atlanta race in a row where that 10 car is just in general caused havoc here. I mean, he caused 2 incidents. You mentioned them trying to pit under green. Well, he caused both of the crashes that happened because of potential green flag pit stops last time we came here.
I forgot those 2 times he did that. Yeah, so he has been a menace so far this season at Atlanta, and that's going to continue today without a DNF.
There you see some side-by-side between Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, William Byron up front. Now, we're going to take this opportunity again to try and talk about the Atlanta repave. We had already mentioned what it's going to be with the more narrow turns and higher banking, and they're looking for pack racing. So, I guess, Jay, it's almost like what we're seeing today is kind of what they want to aim for. Of course, I don't think it'll be to that extent at Atlanta Motor Speedway with how it is, or 3x3x3 all the way through. But, I mean, what do you make of Atlanta pushing for in a direction of pack racing of what they want? I mean, I don't think we would ever get a Daytona or Talladega-esque pack race, but of course, you can still have your legitimate pack here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So what do you make of them pushing in that direction to try and get that type of racing product here from NASCAR?
It sounds not so appealing, honestly. I don't necessarily want to see a pack race in a mile and a half, but then again, that's just thinking of how a normal mile and a half could be a pack race, and you think of, that may not be very good. This is going to be higher banking. It's going to be a narrower track, the same as Daytona. So I think it could be okay. I'm not really going to know how to judge it until we see it once again, just because there's so many things going into it. The new car, how the surface will actually race, and especially too, it's going to be a brand new surface next year, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get weathered in. Once they get 2 or 3 years into it, all of a sudden we could have some fantastic pack racing and some really good stuff happening. It just may wind up being way too fast, or not enough grip in the track next year, or what have you, with it being freshly repaved. So I'm not going to have a real good opinion on it until we get probably 2 or 3 years into it. Unless it winds up producing great racing right away, then I'll be extremely excited for it. But I think it's an idea that is not the worst thing in the world. I just don't know how to feel about it.
Definitely going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'm guessing we're going to have Atlanta twice on the schedule again next year. The 2022 schedule is still yet to come out, but it shouldn't be too far out at this point. I mean, we're looking at the schedule here this season, and I mean, we only have a handful of races left to go here in the regular season, and after today there will actually just be 5 races to go. So next week we will be going to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, interesting track, and then actually we have a couple weeks off, so we're gonna have probably some exhibition races. I have a track in mind that I want to do for one of those off weeks, but so we go to New Hampshire, one of them short tracks, a mile long, then we go road racing again at Watkins Glen, and then we actually go back-to-back road courses. We go from Watkins Glen to Indianapolis road course. I mean, Jay, a track the Cup Series has never been to, another curveball right there. I actually don't even know if that's in NR, I hope it is, but that track right there definitely could present quite the curveball here, and I mean, we only have a few positions left on points, and we saw Chase Briscoe get up there in the action against Ryan Blaney for the win last week, and I mean, something like that could very well happen again, and once again, for like the 7th time this year, completely flip the playoff grid up on over.
Yeah, we have some really interesting races left for the rest of this regular season. Aside from New Hampshire, I would say pretty much every race that we have left could throw a curveball into this thing. I don't know if we're going to necessarily see some surprise winner or something crazy happen at New Hampshire, but we got Daytona left. We got 2 road courses. So, it's, I think, and we also have Michigan as well. So I think that it could produce some really good racing to finish out this regular season, and especially with what we have with the points going on right now. There's the points are a whole lot closer. There's a whole lot of things going on. So I think that we're really going to have a good stretch of those final 5 races, and I'm excited for it.
And of course, Daytona is the regular season finale. Who knows what to expect there? We still excited for that because we didn't get to run the Daytona 500 on the physics that we are using. So I'm actually very excited to see what kind of race we have there. Very overall, it's going to be quite the battle here, I think. Still some potential for some surprise winners and whatnot, and just a few spots left on points. But with all these races, you look at Michigan, that could definitely turn out to be a pack race there, Jay. I mean, we haven't seen a race there. The closest track to that probably would be Auto Club, but we haven't had the luxury of going there this year with NR2003, so we don't know exactly what to expect at a track similar to that even when we go to Michigan. So that could turn out to be a full-on pack race and could create just absolute chaos there, and once again, just, I mean, change everything.
Yeah, I think that if I remember correctly from the couple of times I've done Michigan, I'm pretty sure it does turn into a pack race. So that should be, we might honestly wind up ending the regular season with 2 pack races and with 2 races that could really, really shake things up if we wind up having a big crash and some guy is able to escape the crash and get the win. So I think that those final 2 races are probably going to be some of the most exciting that we have of this season, especially going to Daytona with this different package. We'll actually get to see a really good super speedway race this time around, I think. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the regular season, and then obviously into the playoffs. Looking forward to that as well.
Overall, a lot to look forward to here with this schedule over the next month and a half, 2 months now, leading into the playoffs, and of course all the way to the end of the year. But what we are going to do once again here is take a quick break, and we're going to come back and bring you guys, hopefully this time, to an actual green flag pit stop cycle in the second stage here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome back here from Atlanta Motor Speedway as we start lap 68 of 170. Closing in on the final 10 laps of stage 2, but they are going to have to pit here very soon under green flag conditions from the looks of it so far. They will be coming up on Daniel Suarez here momentarily. They did have to work their way through both Eric Almirola and Quinn Houff under caution. He held up some drivers and messed up some stuff, but at the end of it, Chase Elliott was able to get back out in front. But William and Byron got stuck for a minute, and well, you can see he's all the way back here now as we got Keselowski trying to lead this second group of cars with Kurt Busch, Bowman, DiBenedetto, Buescher, and Priest up to that lead pack. But it's going to be very tough for them to pull off now. So, I mean, Jay, what would be smart here is they have to pit before the stage ends. I would pit before you probably run down this 99 of Daniel Suarez so you don't risk getting held up, and we could very well see that because we are very, very close to that fuel window.
Yeah, and I would think some of these guys are thinking about that as well and probably going to try it. And I think that's really what you have to do. You don't want to wind up losing time here behind Suarez. So I think you have to pit. Well, you probably needed to pit that last time because they caught him a whole lot quicker than I was thinking. So they are going to wind up losing time behind him. Looks like Truex, Reddick, and whoever else that was, Denny Hamlin, might wind up being screwed here.
Elliot did a great job there and didn't get held up at all. But yeah, Truex is going to get held up. Suarez now, he's going to drop to the inside. I think Suarez might be looking at coming into the pit lane right here. It looks like, yes, he is. So I guess generous of him to get out of the way of everybody now. Suarez won his first career race at Pocono a few weeks ago, and lucky that he did that because this would have been a huge hit for him here today on points. So these guys probably going to be coming in very, very soon within the next lap or two. There comes Kevin Harvick now into the pit lane. So I would expect to see these guys in the pit lane here within the next lap or so. Jay, we know they're going to take 4 tires, fill it up with fuel. So, I mean, short pitting like Truex appears to be doing right here could be a stage-winning decision.
It could be, yes. I think that you need to be one of the earlier drivers to pit. So this is a very good call here from Truex, Blaney, and William Byron, especially since he lost those positions. I can't really understand why any of these guys back here aren't already pitting, as I thought I might have saw the caution flag for a moment, but I didn't. Anyways, I'm not too sure why these guys back here aren't already pitting. I think it would have been a really smart move for them to do so. The longer they stay out, the more time they're going to be losing to the ones who just pitted, and the more time that they're going to lose the ability to gain here if they pit before these leaders.
Elliot and Bell continue to stay out, and so does Austin Dillon. Keselowski's coming in. DiBenedetto staying out as well, along with Joey Logano and Chris Buescher, and some notables. So Chase Elliott with a very questionable decision right there, because he's definitely going to be off. This could get awkward right here because Lowski's got to navigate through these guys that are just coming out, but it looks like he's going to get past them all, no problem. So where's Chase Elliott? I'm sure he's coming in this time by. Yes, here he comes along with the 20 of Bell, the 3 of Austin Dillon. Oh, we got trouble. The 37 goes around with the 16 of Kaz Gralla, and all of a sudden, that is going to make Chase Elliott looked like an absolute genius. And Matt DiBenedetto, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, as there was only 25 cars, actually more cars than I thought on the lead lap, 25 still, and none of them appear to be, oh no, sorry, 18 cars on the lead lap. So they, of course, I don't know how this is going to work out. Are they going to have to take the wave around and whatnot and stuff? But Jay, all of a sudden, that makes everybody that stayed out there look like the smartest guys on the planet right now.
I don't think the wave around is going to happen because all these drivers just pitted coming to the yellow. They didn't even actually make it to the yellow flag before they pitted. So this actually, they also could have wound up giving some of these drivers their laps back as well, considering they weren't technically under caution yet. So I think we're going to need a minute to see how things stack up here, but I think we are going to wind up with some guys a lap down that were our leaders, like Martin Truex Jr. or Ryan Blaney.
So now let's get a look at what brought out that caution here from Atlanta, because yeah, when they come around again, we should have an idea. Actually, let's stick with it until the 9 car comes around one more time, just to see if we have an idea of what's going on. Now we got all these guys pitting here, so maybe we won't need an extra lap actually. So yeah, let's go get a look at what just happened here in Atlanta. Here's a look at what happened. The 16 of Gralla just hooks the 37, Jay. I think that was an effect of him trying to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get slowed down and get himself ready to pit, and the 16 obviously didn't know that he was going to pit there. It seemed like DiBenedetto did and was going up high to try and give him room, and luckily he did that, because had he not, DiBenedetto would have wound up being in this crash and probably with some heavy damage. So he escaped lucky there, as the 37 and the 16 wound up having some pretty good damage.
And while we were showing that, and under caution, when these main group of cars right here, Reddick and Kyle Busch coming out of the pit lane, Alex Bowman actually comes in full throttle and slams into the back of the 8 of Tyler Reddick and turns him sideways, gets into Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch is going to turn the 8 of Reddick around. And what a change of events here from one act of stupidity from the 16 car a few moments ago, because now Bowman, from that damage, is out of the race. Eric Almirola's day gets a little bit worse, and Ryan Newman got some damage as well. But then all of a sudden, Tyler Reddick has a bunch of damage here as well in Atlanta Motor Speedway. So now we have absolutely no idea what's going on. A massive change of events, to say the least. Now, as Jay, there's a lot of damage on that 8 car, and he was running very, very strong here, and now his chance of stage points are over, and I mean his chance of a good result as well come to an end. And now after all that as well, we only have 22 cars on the lead lap, and Martin Truex Jr., who was in the mix for the stage win, is one of those drivers in 24th, trapped a lap down. So I mean, I don't know what to make of it, but what a massive change of events off of one little mistake from Kaz Gralla.
All of a sudden, we have 2 guys fighting for playoff points, or fighting for their playoff chances. All of a sudden, they have their races put in very bad positions. I would say that Reddick's is probably over, and then Truex has put a lap down now. He's going to have to fight really hard to get himself back on the lead lap. I was just mentioning earlier in the race how Truex needed to finally have a good race, and with nothing go wrong, well, he's not going to have that today here in Atlanta. So, huge moment here for DiBenedetto, for Kyle Busch, and some others, and even Alex Bowman, who kind of caused this unfortunate timing for Reddick. But it's a huge opportunity for those guys to gain some points, as they have to take advantage of it.
So we are going green this time by here, and it's only going to be about a 3-lap dash for Stage 2. Stage 2 is still not complete. Tyler Reddick, I think he's pulling over to get out of the way for all these cars. So, Jay, I guess one advantage here is, I mean, they're clearly having some issues right now getting this sorted out, but the leader is Chase Elliott. And, I mean, he's going to be, apparently, it looks like he's going to be trapped behind all those cars on the outside. So, I mean, if everybody here on the inside, like Truex and William Byron, and even Ryan Blaney, by the way, who's in the mix for the lead, a lap down, if those guys can stay in front of Elliott here for only just 3 laps is all they got to do, then, I mean, I guess it's not over for those guys.
Yeah, it's certainly not. And looking at who Chase Elliott is behind, he's behind a lot of slow cars. So I think he's going to be kind of stuck there for a bit, and also have slow cars to his inside as well. So I don't know what the 53 is doing.
He's
But
speeding back up.
anyways, yeah. So I think that we are going to have him probably stuck behind some of these guys, and it's going to be a huge opportunity if Truex is able to get around the 53. He's going to have a massive opportunity to get himself back on the lead lap. The only issue for William Byron and Ryan Blaney is look who they're behind. They're behind Daniel Suarez, so they have to find a way to get around him really quickly before they wind up falling behind Chase Elliott.
Oh boy, I don't know if that. Okay, all right, we're not even gonna bother with that. We are back underway. 3 laps to go here in stage 2. Tyler Reddick deciding he's going to teleport through the grass. His day might be over. I don't know if that was legal. So we're back underway, and it's crucial for everybody here, like Truex, and as well as William Byron even and Ryan Blaney, to stay ahead of that 9 car, and they just got to hold on for 2.5 laps here. There's the leader right now, Elliot, DiBenedetto, P1, P2, Christopher Bell all of a sudden has a potential win given to him here, at least a chance to go for a win today in Atlanta Motor Speedway. Look at all these cars with damage, and look at this insane group of cars right here, all desperately trying to get back on the lead lap. And I mean, as of right now, they are scored on the lead lap here. They just got to hang on for 2 more laps. But look, there's the 9 of Chase Elliott. He has now gotten to the inside, so definitely in danger now. These guys are, if that 9 car gets moving pretty quick. But we also have a battle for the stage win going on here. Elliott versus Bell, and Christopher Bell is going to go through to the lead. And Chris Buescher out of nowhere is going to be in the mix for the stage win, and they are getting closer. Here comes Bell, and all of a sudden it's going to be very close with 2 laps to go. Or sorry, final lap underway in stage 2 now. And there you see that 20 coming. It's going to be crucial here for that 24, that 12, and the 19, who we all know have speed on this final lap of stage 2 to remain in front of that 20 car. And it's going to come down to that final turn, and some pressure from Chris Buescher on the back of that 20. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough here as it come through turns 3 out of turns 4. Truex, there's Bell looking at the inside of the 24. It's crucial for him to stay ahead, and to the line he gets him. Christopher Bell wins stage 2. Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, William Byron, they all get back on the lead lap. So I'm assuming they will cycle back through. And only 19 cars, though, on the lead lap after that. But here's another issue. Look at this pack of cars, Jay. We've seen what's been happening under caution. That's the biggest pack of cars we've seen grouped together.
Yeah, I think this is potentially going to cause a couple issues here, especially for some of those guys towards the back. I think some of these guys here up towards the front are going to get this figured out, but it looks like everybody's going to somehow be able to get it figured out. I did not see that happening with those guys being 3, 4, 5 wide, whatever they were, just in a big jumbled mess. Now they need to get themselves going before this little pack here catches, because they could catch them really fast and wind up slamming into the back of them here.
So you saw.
Actually, I think we did have a couple issues happen. It looks.
I believe they're okay, because they're just some guys are pitting and some guys aren't. And you see all the guys that are going to be back on the lead lap going around to catch up to the field, and now the leaders do come onto the pit lane. So Matt DiBenedetto gained 1 point in stage 1 on Reddick. He was 5 below going into the stage, and of course you saw what happened to Reddick. Now DiBenedetto just got 7 points, so DiBenedetto at the end of stage 2 back inside the playoffs. Kyle Busch, of course, has gained some points. Martin Truex Jr. unfortunately doesn't after the ending of the stage, but he will be back on the lead lap, so he has an opportunity here, because it looks like, wow, that was close there. And I mean, clearly they didn't take 4 tires there on the 20 car, Jay, which, I mean, of course, they just pitted very briefly, or a very short time ago, so it might not be a terrible call for that team. And I mean, if they find a way to win today, what a huge game changer that would be.
Certainly a play for track position there from that team. Everybody else looks like they went with 4 tires, so I guess they were just not confident in their pit crew keeping in the lead. So I assume they just wanted to go with 4 tires to get themselves track position, keep themselves in the lead, and then not worry about your tire wear so much. I guess it doesn't affect them that much on NR, like it should in real life. This track tears up tires after 1 lap, so I'm not too sure how much this is going to affect him. He does have a couple laps on those tires compared to these guys now, so that's going to be the immediate thing to watch out for. But he does have himself in pretty good track position.
Going to be interesting to see what happens here in stage 3, but before we get that third and final stage underway, we're going to go for a quick break here from Atlanta Motor Speedway and bring you guys to the end of this race. Back from Atlanta Motor Speedway, once again getting ready to go green for this third and final stage. Keep in mind, it is not 179 laps. The race completes when we hit lap 171, unless we need overtime, and we have the ability for that here as we get ready to take the green flag. Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, and Matt DiBenedetto, your top 5 here as we're getting ready to go green. I mean, Jay, it's been all over the place with guys running up front. Is anyone standing out to you so far that's been able to remain maybe up towards the front the whole time, no matter what's been going on here today?
Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott, certainly, I think they have very good cars, and then also Brad Keselowski as well. I noticed earlier, it seemed like he had one of the fastest cars in the field, so if he's able to get himself around these lap cars here, I think we could see him go for the win right away, or go for the lead right away.
Christopher Bell leads the way down the back straightaway over that number 17 of Chris Buescher. DiBenedetto, we saw him get held up by lap traffic in stage 2. He is no stranger to this happening right here, as it looks like it's going to be, once again, DiBenedetto falling victim to a slow car in his way, as he is really going to get held up again. So very unfortunate for him. But what is fortunate for Matt DiBenedetto is Tyler Reddick is now 4 laps down, as wow, that 20 car had nothing for the 17 and the 9 right there out of turns 2. They are going to move up into first and second place. We know that 9 car, very tough to beat here today, but if we look at how it's been this season for Chase Elliott, Jay, similar to Kyle Larson, where we were like, you know what, Larson's got the speed to win, but something was always going wrong. And what happened once Kyle Larson was able to find victory lane? Well, he started finding it a lot. But now he's been, of course, struggling lately. So, you look at it the same for Elliott. He's had a lot of things get in his way. But, if he wins here today, it could turn into a thing like Kyle Larson, where it just changes everything. And all of a sudden, he's just able to keep on clicking off victories.
I think the same thing for Kyle Busch as well. He's kind of had that same thing happen to him, too. So either one of these guys, if they could finally break through to victory lane, we might see them go on a bit of a tear. And Kyle Busch has certainly been on a tear recently, just not found himself in victory lane. So we could really see those two starting to build some momentum up if they're able to win here today. But at the moment, I still don't really know if I can call who I think is going to win, just because of how crazy this is. So many things can happen. These guys do get 3 wide off of restarts and all this kind of stuff. So there's still a lot of racing left and a lot of things that can happen.
Matt DiBenedetto right there, 4 wide in the middle. That's a little bit dangerous. Luckily for him, Tyler Reddick, of course, is scored as 33rd place. So, even if DiBenedetto DNFs, he's going to get 33rd, and Reddick moves up a spot, so he'd only lose 1 point to Reddick, and that would still have him remaining above Reddick in the standings. But of course, if you're DiBenedetto, you do not want a DNF here in Atlanta when you have a huge opportunity to gain a lot of points. But man, these guys are getting very aggressive, and a lot of this is lap down drivers going at it. Up front, though, you got Chase Elliott going at it with Chris Buescher. We were talking about earlier in this race, Buescher being way off, running about 25th place, and now here he is in the mix for the win here today in Atlanta. It's crazy how quickly things change in these races now. As we look a little bit further down, William Byron back on the lead lap. Joey Logano hasn't quite seemed to have the speed since that accident he was taken out in earlier after Daniel Suarez hooked him in the right rear quarter panel. Bubba Wallace, he's kept his car pretty clean here today. He's been kind of quiet lately, Jay. We saw him show some big strengths, and then he was able to actually pick up the win in the Coca-Cola 600. And ever since then, he's been really quiet, almost like maybe they're just saving their equipment for the playoffs or something.
Yeah, he has been kind of a little bit quiet recently. He's still been having decent runs. We just haven't seen him really get up even towards the front since he got that win. So I don't know if they're all of a sudden kind of struggling again or what's been going on recently. But, certainly with how the way his teammates have been going recently, especially with Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr., that whole organization seems to have gotten it turned up, and then all of a sudden he's kind of struggling again.
We're seeing all of the Joe Gibbs Racing program run well today. Martin Truex Jr., of course, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get himself back towards the front. There you see him all the way down here. He is currently the last car scored on the lead lap. I'm assuming he got held up or something, but I'm not 100% sure on that, because he has no damage on that car other than a tiny little bit of back bumper damage, which a lot of guys have today. So we know there's speed in that 19 car. So as well, it looks like he might end up needing a caution, though, if he wants to get back up into the mix for the win here today in Atlanta. And he is going to be in a position, no matter what, Jay, even Truex is going to gain at least 10 points on Tyler Reddick at this moment in time. So this is going to be a big day for Kyle Busch and Truex, because, they were so close to that cutoff line, had some rough races, and, now Kyle, he needs about 31 points coming into this race, and right now he's going to get at least 30 or so on Tyler Reddick and Truex, of course, in position for maybe a good 20 or so. So even if Alex Bowman wouldn't have taken himself out and stayed out of trouble, he could have been in a good spot too. So this is going to really close up that grid once again after today.
And you know what I was also saying earlier in the race as well is the 17 was struggling again and started to lose points, and then all of a sudden he has that lucky break happen there with the stage caution, or with the caution in stage 2, and now all of a sudden he finds himself in second place. He finished in second in stage 2, so all of a sudden he's gained some points, and he's gaining some pretty big points at the moment. So I think DiBenedetto really has to put some urgency here, because if Kyle Busch winds up winning today, then the guy he's fighting with is going to wind up being Chris Buescher. And at the moment, Chris Busch is putting himself back into a pretty good spot where he's going to be probably 70 points or so above the cut line. Actually, I guess not 70 points, because DiBenedetto did get 4th in the stage. So he did definitely gain some points, though, on DiBenedetto. So at the moment, that 17 is looking pretty good. But he's also starting to lose some spots here as well, as Brad Keselowski looks like he's going to make a run for the lead in the moment.
I mean, speaking of a run for the lead, hold up. We got the 3 of Austin Dillon here trying to make a move for the lead into turns 3. And I mean, if he won today, he is in the top 30 in points. I mean, next thing you know, Austin Dillon is in the playoffs. So a lot of stuff going on. And of course, to add on to that, we have the 10 of Eric Almirola, who is going around at about 157 miles per hour into turns 1, who's going to plant his car directly in front of the 9 of Chase Elliott, and that's how the dominant car loses the lead right there and gives it up to the number 3 of Austin Dillon. But look who is going to benefit quite a bit off of that, and that is going to be the number 21 of Matt DiBenedetto here. So Eric Almirola, man, we would love to be able to get him off track, because look how bad he is right here. But yeah, now the 3 of Austin Dillon, actually I think he just lost the lead. Yes, he did. Kurt Busch takes over P1. He won earlier this season at Richmond Raceway, so he's already locked into the playoffs. Still no idea what's going on for him for 2022. We do know it's been talked about. He's talked to Trackhouse, he's talked to 2311 Racing, so who knows where Kurt Busch is going? We can only imagine now, as we also know, of course, Chip Ganassi Racing will be shutting down as they have sold everything to that Trackhouse Racing team. So Kurt Busch, I guess, Jay, is out here to make a statement as well, knowing that, I mean, at least we don't think he knows exactly where he's going next year yet. So he has to make a statement saying that he can still be up here competing for race wins and even for a championship if he wants to remain in a competitive ride next year.
I think he certainly does want to do that, but I'm not sure he has to do that. He's already mentioned that he has teams calling for him and trying to negotiate with him and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's going to certainly have a ride next year no matter what. He just has to make that decision where he wants to be. So, you know, I think that's just the ultimate decision at this point. He's definitely going to be in a, I think, competitive ride next year. He's just got to choose what team he thinks will be the best for him, whether it be 2311 or Trackhouse.
A lot of pack racing overall going on around this mile-and-a-half oval at Atlanta Motor Speedway still, as they're 3 wide for second place. DiBenedetto, Elliott's fighting back. That just shows the true speed in that 9 car here today, as he is fighting back hard from getting held up there at the, or just a few laps ago from that number 10 of Eric Almirola. So a nice charge back through the field. That 9 car is capable of doing. That 2 car definitely has some strong speed as well. Really hard to tell who's going to be able to pull off the victory so far here today, but what we are going to do once again is go for a very quick break, and pit stops will be coming in about 10 to 15 laps time, so we'll come back in time for the next set of green flag pit stops. So we'll be right back from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Back from Atlanta Motor Speedway, getting ready for a set of green flag pit stops. So it's going to be interesting to see how the fuel strategy plays out. And I mean, this is not what you want to see for Kurt Busch, Jay. You got Suarez and Reddick, who are equal on speed right now, but going at it side by side, and of course a lot slower than a guy like Kurt Busch. And once again, we mentioned this in stage 2, and I mean, we're right in the fuel window just about now, within a lap or so, as we saw 1 car right there pit. But it would have been very smart for one of those guys to pit there that time by.
Yeah, it would have been very beneficial for them to do it, especially since these 2 are side by side. They're going to have to find a way to get around them, but they're going to get slowed up first. So this is you know, really unfortunate for them. They could have used that opportunity there to pit. They may be looking at the length of the race left, though, and thinking they have to go as long as possible here to be able to make it on the amount of pit stops they want to do for the rest of the race. It looks like Chase Elliott is slowing down to go to pit road.
Yeah, Elliott's pitting. Suarez decides very late that he is going to come in. 16 gets on the pit lane without taking anybody out this time, so it's success for him, as so far so good. So we'll see what happens this time by if we can keep it green through the whole green flag pit stop cycle. So now, I mean, Chase Elliott decides instead of staying out longer, which, I mean, helped him last time, he's going to come in first. So we're going to see how this works out for him. Truex, by the way, just coming out of the pit lane. So he lost the draft. That's why he's been so far off. He's going to need a caution if he wants any hope at all to be up there towards the top 10 before this race comes to a close. Now, as we're going to see, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, they are all coming into the pit lane now, and so far everybody looks like they're going to make it in safely, so I think we're going to get through the cycle pretty well. Chase Elliott, unfortunately for him, comes out right behind Daniel Suarez, but I mean, a good gap right there as Elliott was racing against the number 1 and 21 of Kurt Busch and DiBenedetto, so that's where we're going to be looking to see where he stacks up as they are both on the pit lane right now. So Jay, lap 111 to 113 or so is when they all decided to come into the pit lane. We know they can go about 30 laps, so that's going to bring us to about lap 140 to 143, which 30 laps after that, well, that's the end of the race. So, I mean, unless there's a caution, it's going to be a potentially close race on field here, which could create a whole another set of drama here potentially late in Atlanta.
Yeah, there's also the potential for caution still as well to kind of shake things up and create its own fuel mileage here. So I think that's why these guys are thinking about going as long as they can to try and stretch these fuel runs as far as they can as well to try and minimize their time on pit road for that last stop. So I don't think that's a bad strategy. You just got to kind of be careful here about making sure you get on pit road at a decent time. Don't have someone else pitting with you or wind up running into somebody on pit road. And you also got to make sure you get on there timely with the cautions as well. You know, it's always possible that if you pit early, a caution catches you out, kind of like we had there in stage 2. So that's another reason I think for staying out as long as you can.
Chase Elliott cycles out to the lead, and he's going to decide to follow the 10 car at all costs, like his season is on the line here, and the only way he can win is by following the slower car, and that brings Kurt Busch right back into the mix as Chase Elliott looks to the inside, though, right there as it came through out of turns 4. So Kurt Busch back up here. DiBenedetto currently runs 3rd place. Dylan, then we got the number 18 of Kyle Busch running up there in P6. Actually, Kaz Grella, didn't realize, is on the lead lap 4 position right now. But Kyle Busch, a nice rebound there. He was outside of the top 10 before the pit stops had actually gotten going. So Bubba Wallace has cycled through into the top 10 as well. Chris Buescher going at it with Eric Jones for P9. William Byron just outside of the top 10. Probably the loser there was Christopher Bell. He lost quite a bit of ground under that pit cycle, unfortunately for him. But Jay, I mean, that 9 car is looking really strong here today in Atlanta. I mean, he's never won at his home track in real life, but I mean, Chase Elliott win in Atlanta would be huge.
And I think at this point, if there's no caution, I think he gets it done. I don't really know how anybody else behind him is able to catch him. Maybe Kurt Busch could try and keep with him and challenge him, but I don't know if Kurt's got one of the better cars here today. I know that Chase Elliott certainly does. I think his next best competition is either Kyle Busch or Brad Keselowski, and both of those are way off the leader right now. So without a caution, I think at this point this is Chase Elliott's race.
Looking very good for that Napa Auto Parts Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet there, driven by Chase Elliott, who has about a 3/10 lead over Kurt Busch. Matt DiBenedetto there trying to hold off 3rd place, but Austin Dillon trying to put some pressure on him up the inside. Kyle Busch following right behind those two as well. So they're all going to have to work together if they want any chance to run down this front pack here, or front 2 cars of Elliott and Kurt Busch. But if they keep racing like this right there, they're not really going to get anywhere. So we'll have to wait and see what they elect to do. But this is definitely the calmest this race has been so far here today from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Obviously, we've got quite a few cars out of this race now. Some cars with a bunch of damage. We look at the situation right now. So it is still Alex Bowman, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chase Briscoe, Cole Custer, Timmy Hill, and Kyle Larson all out of this race. And it is awfully, like, eerily similar, Jay, when Kyle Larson in real life caught on fire. He caught on fire in NR2003, and now he's fallen off the last few weeks where he hasn't been winning, and all of a sudden, what's happening in NR2003? He's not winning anymore, and then he has this big DNF here in Atlanta. It's very weird how accurately that got represented.
we've got two, maybe even three, I guess, very accurate representations from real life to NR. You could say Kyle Busch this season has been a lot like it. Have been virtually the same between both. Kyle Larson has been the same virtually between both, and then kind of Chase Elliott as well. Elliot doesn't have a win yet in NR, but where he's been struggling in real life, he's kind of been struggling here. Same thing with Kyle Busch. His season was off to a rocky start, and all of a sudden lately he's just on a tear. And then Larson, he was on a tear, and now he's kind of cooled off. So those three, I think, are the most realistic that we've had kind of happen between both. And at the moment, Chase Elliott looks like he's going to potentially get his first win of the season.
We'll have to wait and see if they can predict that correctly now. Also see where Kyle Larson finishes this week in Atlanta. In real life, last time they went there, he was actually in position to win until Joey Logano refused to let him go by, and that allowed Logano's teammate of Ryan Blaney to slip through and steal the victory there in the late laps of that race now. But speaking of stealing victories, we're seeing this field right here, this pack of Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon starting to creep up in on the top two, and of course Elliot and Kurt were held up behind some lap traffic there a few laps ago now. There's still 50 laps to go, coming to 49 laps to go here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and things are looking very, very calm here so far. So what we are going to do from Atlanta Motor Speedway is go for another break here and bring it to the end. Hold up, actually, we got some trouble. Bubba Wallace always going to go to the outside wall. Is that going to turn into an incident? I don't know. He's stomping on the brakes. That is a dangerous spot. He's sliding down the track. This could get bad. Oh, a big incident. Oh my goodness. Ty Dillon has no idea what the windshield is. I'm sure it's covered by bricks or something. Truex is going to get through just narrowly, and we will be taking a break still because the caution's out. But wow, Bubba Wallace. We were talking about his struggles lately, Jay, and I mean they were finally running good, and then now, well, all it takes is an engine failure and then a guy to not stop for a car that stopped on the track.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what Ty Dillon was doing there. Certainly could have been something that should have been avoided, and he just full on sends into the back of Bubba Wallace. So unfortunate end to his day, unfortunate end to Bubba's day as well. But this does bring the field back together here and gives us another chance for restart. No. As Truex has got some big damage now. Hopefully that's not going to wind up hindering his performance. He's already far back in the field. The worst thing he needs is to have damage.
We're not going to bother looking at a replay of that one because we caught it all right there live. It was pretty obvious. Bubba Wallace blew an engine, and the 96 of Ty Dillon just drove straight into the back of him and turned him around. So they are going to come back into the pit lane. So this changes the fuel situation, by the way. So they're going to come in here, lap 123, come to lap 124. That means they'll have to pit about 152 to 155-ish. And that will also mean that it's not going to be close on fuel. Everybody will have to pit one more time, and then after that, they'll be able to make it to the end. So it makes it a lot more straightforward. Fuel economy is not going to be any issue here. Now, as Chase Elliott comes into his pit box, he's going to put some left side tires on that car. I think we might have some gambles here, Jay, as it looks like the 21 and actually several others are taking just potentially 2 tires, and Chase Elliott's going to be way down the order.
Yeah, I think that these guys are trying some kind of strategy here that I don't know how well that's going to work, honestly. They did just recently, sort of recently, have pit stops, but I'm not sure if 2 tires is the call here. I think Chase Elliott's still going to be in a decent position, at least strategy-wise. He may struggle to gain some spots here, but as far as these guys with their pitting and all that kind of stuff, I think that he's going to be in a better position here compared to the ones who just took 2 tires.
You saw the damage there on Martin Truex Jr. They took the front end right off that car. Very unfortunate for that team. On the bright side, though, Tyler Reddick's still a bunch of laps down. They are, no matter what, still gaining points on him, and that's the main thing. I mean, Reddick still scored in 33rd place. I think he has enough speed to maybe get 32nd over the 10 of Eric Almirola, but he is going to gain 2 points over that 23 and the 96 who have crashed out of this race. But we're going to go for a quick break and bring you guys to the start of the next restart. Could it be the final one of the day? We don't know, but we will be back here in a few moments' time. Welcome back from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Getting ready to go green here late, or not late, about halfway through stage 3. Gonna be close. It is still 1 pit stop to go, guaranteed, and it'll be a little bit after 150 laps in, which will turn it into about a 15 or so lap stretch to the finish of this race here from Atlanta. Now, I mean, Jay, of course, are just starting this new run. But I mean, we look at that last pit stop. If there's no cautions and it is a green flag cycle, they'll be pitting about lap 152, 155. Do you think there's going to be some guys maybe taking some risks and doing no tires, 2 tires, and then some guys are going to be doing 4? I mean, that could create a whole nother storyline as well.
Well, these guys here that took 2 are certainly going to have to take 4 on that stop. It's possible Chase Elliott could maybe get away with 2 there to go to the end. But for fact, these guys are going to definitely have to take 4 tires because their left sides will not be able to make it all the way to the end of this race from here. So those are guaranteed to have to take 4. If there's, as far as some other strategies though, with some of these other back half of the lead lap guys, I don't know if we'll see them try something different, but it's possible that we could see them try it.
Chase Elliott, he's got to get a move on it very, very quick as well. He is stuck right in that disaster spot of just cars being unbelievably slow and just in the way no matter what. So very unfortunate for Elliott. I mean, we're talking about him always seeming to have something get in the way of him winning a race, and in a race that he's really been the dominant car. Well, it looks like this could be what takes him out of contention unless he gets a move on it very quick here from Atlanta. But it's going to be very tough for that 9 car to pull something off now, as he's going to go 3 wide in the middle. Now as we look up front, it's Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon, Matt DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher, even Ryan Newman. But actually Ryan Newman is not on the lead lap, and you got the 78 up there who's not on the lead lap, and the 42. So but Jay, we also have 3 guys up here in the top 5 that have not won this year. Of course, Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Matt DiBenedetto. Of course, if DiBenedetto or Buescher win, it's not a big deal to the playoff grid, but it is if the 3 car of Austin Dillon wins. But, I mean, what a moment it would be for Matt DiBenedetto. He's been in and out of the playoffs all year long. I mean, he'll have one race that'll put him back in. He has a bad race the next week. He's back out by like 30 points. So it's been consistently back and forth for him. So a win would just completely change everything for this Wood Brothers Racing team this year.
Yeah, it would finally guarantee that they're inside the playoffs. They can stop worrying about their week to week. Well, no, I guess I technically still would have to worry about it because it's possible that we still get some more winners as well, and then it will come down to points. So you still have to worry about points. I guess even at this point in the season, if you have a win, So I think that their ultimate goal obviously is to get a win, but they really need to focus on still having a good finish here today. Capitalize on Tyler Reddick's struggles. Make sure that you're in the playoffs after this race, and then continue to focus on having those good finishes. So that way, even if you don't get a win, you still make the playoffs, as long as some other drivers don't get a win. So, obviously their still ultimate goal is to win, but I just don't know if they have the car to do it at the moment. Kurt Busch, I think, is really strong. Kyle Busch is up there again, and I think he has probably the strongest car in the field today. So at the moment, I'm kind of looking for one of the Busch brothers to win. And Chase Elliott, too. Can't forget about him with his 4 fresh tires.
And he's coming, by the way. He's now past Logano for 9th place, to the inside of his teammate of William Byron for 8th place, and he is right up into the mix. I mean, we got some lap cars into the mix as well that could cause some havoc. And of course, we still have enough time to where a driver like Eric Almirola, who is actually going to be in the way before long, and then of course they'll have Tyler Reddick, the 00 to deal with. Daniel Suarez, actually, I think Suarez, no, he's actually right up here. It looks like they found more speed in that Trackhouse car. They've gotten some more crucial repairs to them. But Chase Elliott is really moving through this field very, very quick. I think he's going to be back out in front before you know it now, as he's following Keselowski through, and they're 3 wide there up front for about 3rd, 4th place. And Elliott it doesn't seem to matter where Elliott plants his car. He's going forwards no matter what now, as he goes up 3 wide in the middle. DiBenedetto all the way up on that top. Some good racing here up front. I didn't know if we were still going to have this quality racing up front based off of all the damaged cars and crash cars and stuff that we've had throughout this race, but still some tremendous racing overall. Now it's Keselowski, though. What a move right there. Brad Keselowski to the lead. Jay, I mean, you mentioned him earlier. I mean, he went from the back to the front, and we mentioned he had a fast car. Now, I mean, they're 4 wide, which is a bit dangerous, but I mean, what a run from Keselowski here.
That was like pucker factor Zulu right there. I thought that they were 100% going to wreck. I don't know how they made it through there. But yeah, Keselowski obviously showing he has an extremely good car. He's already pulled away from these guys. We have not seen any leader pull away from a pack that's been there. So, that's big contact between the 3 and 42. They're still making contact with each other. How they aren't wrecking, I don't know. Goodness gracious, that was almost disaster. But yeah, Kozlowski immediately pulled away from this pack, and then some of these guys with 4 tires, they got through. They pulled right back up to him. So Chase Elliott obviously showing too that he has a very good car as well. Those 4 tires, I think, are definitely going to be a huge advantage at the moment. Those 2 tires fell off very quick.
Elliot side by side. He has no drafting help here into turn 3 like Kozlowski does from that number 20 of Christopher Bell. We saw some 4 wide and nearly a crash, and Kurt Busch was sideways through like half the corner because he was getting hit in the door. He was able to save it, and everybody, of course, saved it, kept it going in the right direction. Now as Elliot and Kozlowski scrap it out for that front spot. Christopher Bell back into the mix out of nowhere as well, so you cannot count him out. He has some serious speed here today from Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. So, I mean, there's some potential here for a guy way outside of the playoffs to win, and that is that number 20 of Christopher Bell, and that 3 as well of Austin Dillon. So it's going to be fascinating to watch how this plays out. Still quite a bit of time here left in this third and final stage, and some time still before we have some pit stops now, as we're probably about a little bit less than 20 laps away. But you saw Eric Almirola right there, Martin Truex Jr. He is currently 17th place, so Tyler Reddick is now scored in 30th. So Truex is gaining about 13 or so points, 14 points on Reddick in this final stage so far. And if we just base it off of not counting stage 1 and 2 points, well, Truex would gain, he'd be maybe about a little bit over 30 points out. So, I mean, still a lot of work to do, Jay, for that 19 team. And you got to feel bad for them. They've had speed week after week. They had speed in Road America, had some pit strategy issues that didn't work out in their favor. They got a poor finish out of it. Pocono, they had speed, and they wrecked out in both of those races. Still managed to gain points, by the way, but not nearly as much as what they could have. Once again, today, this is the 4th week in a row where they've had top 10, top 5 speed, and something has put them outside of the top 10 and almost outside of the top 20 again.
Yeah, they really needed to come into this race and have a good race finally without any issues happening, especially since Tyler Reddick once again had something go wrong for him. Truex really could have been able to take advantage of that. But once again, unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to take advantage of it. And then his 2 main competitors, Kyle Busch and Matt DiBenedetto, they're having good races. And at this moment, it looks like they're going to gain good points on Tyler Reddick. So he's not going to necessarily be in a much deeper hole than he was now. But he will be further back from DiBenedetto and Kyle Busch.
And surprisingly, after all that, I didn't even notice it happened. They had actually worked their way through Almirola up at the front of the pack, so they must have got through him pretty well, because it's still the same group of guys right up front here going for it. Now is Elliot out front. Christopher Bell loses 2nd place to that number 2 of Kozlowski. Is going to try and fight right back to the inside of that 9 car of Chase Elliott. So, I mean, Kozlowski putting together a really strong run. He won a while back now, and he's looking strong here again to maybe go for that 2nd win on the season. As you see, Kurt Busch with some help from his teammate Ross Chastain. Chastain, of course, locked into the playoffs along with Kurt. So both Chip Ganassi Racing cars will be going for a championship this season. I mean, Jay, what we did not expect is this is going to be their final chance to win a championship for that team. Of course, I don't think we expect much from that 42. He just got a lucky win at Talladega and hasn't had any speed since then. But that one car of Kurt Busch has been a quiet, silent threat, similar to real life as well as Kurt Busch. So I wouldn't be surprised if he could be potentially leading that Chip Ganassi Racing team to a championship in their final year.
There's also still a big possibility for that 42 as well. It's still possible that he winds up finding a way to fall out of these playoffs if we wind up getting a couple more winners and then it goes down to points. If that does happen, Chastain is way off on points compared to everybody else around the playoffs right now. So, excuse me, he could wind up falling out of the playoffs if we get a couple more winners to end this season. But yeah, I think Kurt Busch has really wanted to try and make a push here, get Chip Ganassi that championship he's been trying to get. And then Kurt will move on to whatever team he goes to next season and look to continue on as a repeat champion if he's able to do it this year.
Cole Custer as well, a guy who could be in the same situation as Chastain if we do have 16 or more winners here on the season. So definitely something else we're going to have to keep an eye on over the next 5 weeks after today, as Elliott continues to hold on to that lead over Christopher Bell and Kozlowski. We didn't even realize that Custer was in this race. He's 37th out very early in that first caution where there was that big stack up under yellow. So it was not a very memorable weekend for that 41 team with Cole Custer behind the wheel, as Christopher Bell continuing to put on a good chunk of pressure there on the 2 of Keselowski. Denny Hamlin, another guy, Jay, that was very strong early in the season. Similar to real life, I guess. He was really strong. Obviously won some races unlike real life in NR2003, but ever since then, probably after a quarter or halfway through the regular season, he has really quieted down, but I mean, he's still putting together some good quiet runs, but nowhere near the capacity of what he was doing earlier this year.
Yeah, he came into the season, started off so hot, and was literally, or not literally, was really looking like the championship favorite for the first quarter of the season or so, and then all of a sudden he's really cooled off. So I still think he is a championship favorite. I still think he's probably going to wind up making the Final Four, unless something really bad happens with that team and they really fall off. I just don't know if we'll see him get it done this season. I still think that Kyle Larson, even though he is struggling right now, I still think Larson is a championship favorite.
Chase Elliott continuing to lead the way over Keselowski, who tries to make a move up the inside. But what we are going to do is go for a very quick final break here today and bring you guys for that last set of pit stops, as we have just less than 25 laps to go, and we'll bring you to the finish here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Back from Atlanta Motor Speedway, Chase Elliott continuing to lead the way over Keselowski and Christopher Bell. And it's a bit of a 3-car breakaway now as Ross Chastain leads that next group. That is not for position for Chastain. He is a lap down, and it's Denny Hamlin and Austin Dillon going for 4th and 5th. But right here on the verge of green flag pit stops now, as you see some guys are coming in, including the 21 of Matt Benedetto, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney as well. I mean, Jay, last pit stop of the day right here, absolutely crucial to get this call right, and we see Kurt Busch and Kyle Busch come in before the front 3 drivers of Elliot, Kurt, as well as Christopher Bell, Keselowski, not Kurt Busch, but I mean, right here, crucial to I think come in early.
Yeah, I think it is very crucial, especially when they're going to be getting on fresh 4 tires, and there's a possibility that Chase Elliott goes with 2 tires here, and I think, actually, I think the top 3 could all wind up going with 2 tires. And if they do, then you need every little bit of time that you can gain on track here, since you might lose it on pit road with them taking 2, you taking 4. So this is a really big moment, I think, here, especially for some of these guys who are coming off pit road. There's also the possibility that we have a caution again, maybe, that puts some guys a lap down. So you know, these pit stops here in Atlanta are crucial for a lot of different reasons.
And is the 9 coming in? No, he's not. The 2 is not either. The 20 is. That could be crucial right there. We're going to get a look. What's William Byron doing? He did 2 tires right there. Oh, they're doing 4 tires on the number 24. Elliot and Keselowski still going at it. Hamlin and Austin Dillon elect to follow Bell onto the pit lane, and so does the 17. I think, Jay, that's a great call from the 20, but as well, Chase Elliott could still have that opportunity with those 4 fresh tires to only take 2 tires and build up enough of a gap here with only about 15 laps to go or so when that cycle goes through. So it's crucial to see what happens right here, though. The 20, Hamlin, he has 2 tires on right now. It looks like they're both going to go and do 4, and Chase Elliott and Keselowski stay out again. So that's almost, I think, forcing the 9 potentially into a 2-tire pit stop.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're going to try and do here. And I think it's a smart strategy. I think they'll be able to gain enough time on pit road to where it won't matter if anybody else has 4 tires. So, you know, this last pit stop, as long as there's no mistakes, as long as nothing goes wrong for him here, I think they should be able to come up pit road with the lead and should have a big enough gap to everybody else that took 4.
Here it is right here. What are they going to do? Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski come into the pit lane. I'm expecting 2 tires, but Keselowski I don't think has the luxury of being able to take 2 tires. So I don't know about that call there for that Penske Racing driver, but we're going to see what happens now. I mean, as well, Jay, if they do decide to take 4 tires for Chase Elliott, I mean, do you think there's enough time with maybe a 2-lap advantage to be able to run down a guy like Christopher Bell who might beat him out of the pit lane?
I certainly think that there will be a big enough advantage, yes. I think if they do wind up taking 4 here, Christopher Bell probably will have the lead, as it looks like, yes, they are going to take 4 tires. So this could be a huge mistake for Chase Elliott staying out that long.
And where is the 20? I think the 20 is going to be the first one. He is. And wow, look at this. He's got Kurt Busch, Blaney, the Benedetto, the 24, Byron. Oh, with them. That was just about an incident right there. But where is the 9? The 2 and the 9 are already out. As the field is coming through the trial. Well, it is going to be close, actually a lot closer than I anticipated here as Elliott comes through out of the corner. Kurt Busch to the lead. Bell fell back a little bit, but look at all of those cars that just passed both Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski. That is a lot of work, and the 3's going to get by as well as the 9 still looks to get up to speed. So 15 laps to go, and Chase Elliott now is going to have to pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars to win this race over Kurt Busch. So Jay, I mean, he has fresher tires now, the advantage, but I mean, he's got to pass 10 cars to get there. That's going to be a very tough task with 14 laps remaining.
Yeah, he does essentially have fresher tires, but they're not that big of an advantage compared to getting to pit road and getting fresh tires over 40 lap or 30 lap old tires. So I don't think Chase Elliott is going to have enough time here, especially with the cars he's got to get through. I think that pit strategy really hurt them there.
And it's going to be crucial for Elliot to make sure he doesn't get caught up behind this 00 here in a few minutes time, or a few moments time, behind Quinn Half as they come through turns 1 and turns 2. The final 13 laps underway here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Elliot has run down the 8 of Tyler Reddick. Of course, that is a car without any speed at all, and Elliot gets by him no problem. But right here, he's closing in on the back of the 3 of Austin Dillon. It's going to be crucial for Elliot to make sure he gets past this 00, and it looks like he is going to do so right there. 12 laps to go as Kurt Busch under attack from Denny Hamlin, and look who they got to deal with. It's the number 10 of Eric Almirola. Oh, a smart decision right there for Kurt Busch to go to the top, and he goes around as everybody behind him essentially gets stuck behind. So that was a big win right there for the number 1 car of Kurt Busch. I mean, Jay, Kurt Busch right now is just positioning his car in the perfect spots, and I mean, it's working out great for him.
Yeah, it's working out very good for him right now. He was able to grab that lead extremely quickly off of the pit stops there. And at the moment, he's got himself in prime position. His really only competitors right now are the 24 and the 11. I don't know if any of these guys back here are going to be able to group up enough and catch themselves back up to him. So he's really going to just have to fight off the 24 and the 11.
I don't think the 9 car is done yet either. We're coming to 10 laps to go, and it's going to be crucial to have that draft, of course, but right here is going to pass the 6 car, and he's going to be the leader of this pack, and I think he's going to be close enough to have that draft. Is William Byron? He's looking for a 2nd win on the year, and so is Kurt Busch. Hamlin looking for, I think, his 3rd or 4th win on the season, as Chase Elliott is continuing to move forwards right there. Those cars being stuck behind Almirola really helped Elliott make some crucial passes, and I think, wow, he is definitely going to get there now, because look, he's within maybe 4 or 5 car lengths already of Kurt Busch with 10 laps to go. So Elliot, I mean, Jay, I think definitely he's proven us wrong very quick. I think he's going to be very hard to beat in these closing laps.
Yeah, very possible. I did not see him being able to make up this ground that quickly. I don't know if it's a tire thing. I don't think it is a tire thing. I think he's just genuinely got that much, he genuinely has that good of a car compared to these guys. And we have not seen the 24 or the 11 be in the lead all day long either. So I'm not sure they have that great of cars to defend him. So Chase Elliott could easily have a path to victory here around these guys. But we all know Denny Hamlin is going to really put up a fight here.
Kurt Busch seems to be a little bit off the pace compared to what he was earlier against that 9 of Elliott, who is now going to look up the inside of Denny Hamlin for the lead. Chase Elliott has had many obstacles get in his way in races he's had chances to win throughout this season. Easily could have 3 wins by now if he didn't have something go wrong. And now here he is making a move up the inside of Denny Hamlin with less than 10 laps to go. Hamlin, yeah, he's going to put up a hard fight here. He's definitely not an easy guy to beat on the track. And I mean, if he keeps doing that right there, I mean, it's not game over yet for that 11 or maybe even 24 of William Byron. Austin Dillon having a great day as well. I mean, Jay, overall, it doesn't look like that 3 car at the moment is going to win this race, but I mean, maybe a big stepping stone or turning point for that Richard Childress Racing 3 car team, because they've been way off compared to their teammate of Tyler Reddick all year long, but today putting up a very strong top 5 run, and they've been up there for the majority of this race.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been hard for that team to see their teammate do so well, be inside the playoffs at the moment, probably not after this race, but be inside the playoffs, look competitive, especially compared to them, and they've been struggling this entire season, so I'm sure it's been hard to see that happen and just not be able to get it figured out. I'm sure they're sharing information, all that kind of stuff, and they just still haven't been able to get it figured out. So I'm sure it does feel good for Austin Dillon and that whole entire 3 team to have a good race finally, but I think it is very much too late for them at this point. If they want any chance of making the playoffs, they have to get a win. There's no way he can make it on points.
Still side by side with the 9 and the 11 car, but look up ahead. The 51 of Cody Ware. It's 5 laps to go here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and they're going to have to work their way through that 51. We've been talking about obstacles being in the 9 car's way. He's lost a race this season at Martinsville due to a lap car. He actually gets clear of Hamlin out of turns 2. So finally, Chase Elliott clears Hamlin and takes over the lead from Atlanta Motor Speedway. But what's going to happen right here? Oh boy, everybody is going to follow the 51. Hamlin's going to take a risk. He's going to move up, but as he does that, the 51 moves up and allows the 9 car of Chase Elliott to slip through on the inside. 4 laps to go here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. William Byron trying to have a look up the inside of Chase Elliott now as we come through the center of 1 and 2. And Jay, well, I mean, out of nowhere, William Byron, he hasn't been a threat all day, and all of a sudden he has a chance to win, and certainly he's taking advantage of it. A slip up from the 9 right there, and now making a charging move to the inside.
Yeah, I think that just goes to show how strong that inside line here is at Atlanta. He got to the inside of Chase Elliott, forced Chase Elliott to the outside, and he's able to get even with him, but not able to pass him, and I don't think he will be able to pass him. Chase Elliott is going to get the good run off the corner, and also I think he just has simply the better car. So unless something happens here to where Chase Elliott makes some kind of big mistake and William Byron is able to get around, or like Austin Dillon gets up to William and gives him a big old push to get him in front of Chase Elliott, I think Chase will be able to hang on around that outside and keep getting the runs out the corner like he just did there off of turn 2. He's back to comfortably in the lead.
Coming to 2 laps to go from Atlanta. Overtime is available if needed, but as of right now, it doesn't look like we are going to need overtime. Elliott crosses the line, 2 laps remain. William Byron second place, Hamlin there side by side with Austin Dillon for third, Kurt Busch there in about 5th place now as Elliott with a commanding lead. Now something's going to have to go wrong for that 9 if anybody wants to beat him here with a lap and a half to go as they go down this back straightaway. Jay, what a day for this 9 team. I mean, overall, stage 1 just showed speed all day. They overcame a lot of issues and still find themselves leading coming to the final lap here in Atlanta.
When you genuinely have probably the fastest car in the field, you can overcome issues. As long as you don't get damaged, you can still overcome anything that goes wrong. And that's exactly what Chase Elliott did. He is going to certainly win this race in dominating fashion. This is the first time this season he's actually looked extremely good for an entire race. And as I say that, William Byron's actually kind of making a little bit of a charge here. But I think Chase will be able to get him. He's going to keep himself in front of Byron here for 3 and 4.
Hold up.
Wait. Okay, heck, did I jinx it?
Out of turns 4, down the front straightaway. Oh, the 24 doesn't have the help. It's a photo finish, but the 9 does hold him off. Wow, that got away way closer than I think we expected it to.
Yeah, it
did. Wow, William Byron put up 1 last charge in the final turn. Came up half a car length short. So he gets second. Denny Hamlin P3, Austin Dillon 4th. Actually, Keselowski came out of nowhere and got ahead of Kurt Busch. Kyle Busch up there in the top 10. Christopher Bell as well. And Matt DiBenedetto rounds out the top 10 here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. So there you see the finishing order on your screen. I mean, what a race overall, Jay. We had good pack racing. Of course, we had a big incident there early in this race with Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano all getting collected. But, I mean, overall, I thought this was a better race than Atlanta earlier this season. And, of course, we are definitely going to see quite a playoff grid change at the end of this episode as well. Or not
it was
change, but a closer gap, I should say.
Yeah, it was certainly a much better race this time around than the first one. I'll agree with that. Nice to see that we actually still had, kind of a big pack there towards the end, and some really good racing still for the lead. And we also saw Chase Elliott make that incredible charge after that last pit stop, up from about 10th or so all the way to the lead, and did not give it up once he got it. So obviously he had an incredible car, and an incredible day at his home track for Chase Elliott. And now we're going to see Matt DiBenedetto inside the playoffs. Tyler Reddick back outside the playoffs. Kyle Busch is going to be closer to it. Truex gained some. So now we're going to have a really, really good playoff battle coming down to these last 4 races.
And Chase Elliott winning today marks the 14th different winner on the season. So definitely getting closer and closer to the danger zone of having 16 or more potential winners now, with 5 races left in the regular season after today's race from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, Elliot didn't actually really change anything, as he came into this race 121 to go to the good. If he finished second today, I mean, he still gained a ton of points overall, so he'd have been even better off. So Chris Buescher, we're keeping an eye on him. He actually ended up fading down to 12th, but still overall a good day for that team. They're going to gain points. They came in 61 to the good, should be a little bit better off, maybe 70 to maybe even 80 to the good. But yeah, Reddick's definitely going to be out. Benedetto going to be in. Kyle Busch, Truex are going to be closer. Alex Bowman, probably the biggest loser, DNF'd under caution earlier this race. Definitely, for sure, will put that team now in a must-win situation going on forward for these 5 regular season races remaining. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you do know what to do. We had quite a bit of action, some drama, some pit strategy going on. Overall, a great race. And next week, we will be headed to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And then we're going to have a nice little break after that with some exhibition races in between for the actual NASCAR not off season, but little break for the Olympics. So thank you guys for taking the time out of your day for watching, and we will see you guys in the next one for New Hampshire. Have a great day, everybody.